Afternoon, boys and girls. It's your boy, better known as Butlet on the internet, and welcome to the first episode of our sound advice series, where myself and perhaps some others are going to go over some helpful audio plugins, advice, and techniques, etc. to get you sounding absolutely perfect on your next live stream. So get comfy and stay tuned. We got some stuff to talk about. Starting off with a compressor. When you first add it to your microphone, all these parameters might look a little intimidating, but I promise that once you know what each word is associated with, they're super simple to set up. In basic terms, compressors do exactly as their name suggests. They take your low volumes and your high volumes and compresses them into a manageable area for your live stream. It's probably one of my premier go-to filters when setting up a microphone for the first time, because not every microphone is going to have the right noise floor or noise ceiling to be perfect for your live stream. So in this video, we're just going to go over how to set one up, easy tips and tricks to maybe if your microphone isn't quite sounding like how you need it to. Maybe, it gets to points where your video is way too loud and you can't be heard, or vice versa. Think of them almost like an automatic volume knob, turning your lows up and your highs down so you don't blow out your audience's eardrums. As well as limiters. Limiters are a nice little tool that does exactly as the name suggests. It limits the sound output that you're putting to your stream. These, combined with compressors, are a great way to not blow out your audience's eardrums. This tutorial and others like it are going to be mainly for OBS and Streamlabs OBS, both of which can be downloaded in the link below. Using the Streamlabs OBS link is affiliated with this channel, so downloading it from that link gives myself, as well as a certain charity of the month, a little bit of a kickback, so I totally recommend it. First off, adding your filter to your microphone. Go to your audio mixer in OBS and find which microphone you want to apply it to. Click the small gear next to the volume slider. If you have it in vertical mode like me, it'll be directly underneath. I believe in horizontal mode, it's on the right side. So just click the gear, click on filters, and a dialog box will come up. Yours will be empty at first. Go ahead and click the plus sign and add your compressor. Your compressor is officially in your audio chain, but it's not set up. Now, the OBS default settings are pretty decent as is, but like I said at the beginning of the video, we're going to be setting this up so it's perfect for your microphone and it'll sound great every single time you set it up. So let's just go straight down the list of sliders and set this all up from scratch. All right, the first one, ratio X to 1. This basically means for however much sound you put in decibels, it's going to send 1 out. So if I send in 10 decibels of sound, it's going to send 1 out to the stream. Now, the higher your ratio, the more compressed your sound is going to be. Generally, you want this to be kind of near the lower side, especially for vocals. Generally around maybe 5 to 10 to 1 is where you want this to be set. Next one is the threshold. Threshold is only the point at which the compressor actually kicks in. If you have this set too high, your compressor might not actually be working because it doesn't get the go-ahead from the filter to actually kick in. So slide this down deeper into the negatives. The lower that you have it, the more likely your compressor will activate every single time you talk into your microphone. All right, the next one is attack. This is measured in milliseconds. The attack refers to how long it takes for the compressor to fully compress your signal. Now that sounds really confusing at first, but generally in this application it's not super useful. I usually just set it to 1. Next one below that, release. It's very similar to attack. It just in milliseconds measures how long it takes for the compressor to decompress your sound. Again, in this application, it's not super useful. I usually set it to about 60 milliseconds. That is, I believe, also the default for OBS. Play around with it and see what you like after a couple of takes. All right, the last volume slider in OBS Studio, output gain, measured in decibels. This is exactly as it is. It adds gain to your microphone as it passes through the compressor. If you have a very quiet microphone with a low noise floor, kind of like this one, I have the Audio-Technica AT2005. It's a dynamic microphone. Dynamic microphones tend to have very low outputs. So having some hefty gain on this compressor to really bring the volume up to acceptable levels is very welcomed. The last box in the compressor is sidechain / ducking source. Now, adding another audio source to this box means that when that audio source begins to pick up in volume, it's going to pull this one down. So this is very handy for applying to your game, maybe, or if you have another audio source on your stream that might be a little bit loud, maybe like alerts or something. Oh, hello, Violet. Sorry, my dog is... My dog really wants to play in the middle of recording a video. Anyway, when that audio source kicks up, it'll pull this one down. It's supposed to make it so that the one that you're ducking, it kind of lays underneath the main audio source. In OBS, I don't really feel like it does a very good job, so I don't tend to use it. I just generally set my output from my microphone a little bit higher than the ceiling of the other audio sources. That way I'm always heard above everything else in the mix. The right settings, you can get your compressor to never let your microphone volume breach the red or reach peak. When you reach peak, it basically means that your audio signal is capped off. It generally doesn't sound very well. It sounds kind of blown out. So you want to keep it just under peak, but never going over. With the right compressor settings, you can apply what's called a compressor limiter. It's exactly what the name sounds like. It limits you to a point while also acting as a compressor. These can be super handy, but you do have to play with the settings quite a lot and do quite a bit of testing to make sure you get in the ballpark of what you want. Last thing we're going to talk about this video are limiters. They kind of fall into the same category as a compressor, except with a lot more limited settings. So to add one, you're going to do the exact same thing as with the compressor. You're going to click the gear, filters, the plus sign, and limiter. Now, a limiter only has two parameters, both of which you've already seen, and they act exactly the same here, just in a different context. So the threshold in decibels, that is the exact point where it is going to limit your sound. Now, it's not going to cap you off like a peak would, because we have the compressor along with us. So this is just going to make sure that if you get extra excited and maybe want to overthrow your compressor a little bit, this is just an extra fail-safe to make sure you don't hit peak and you sound perfect no matter what. I generally set it to -6. There have been other cases where I've set it to -3, where you're kind of like skating in the red, but you never quite hit peak. And that's because a lot of live streams tend to be quieter than most other online media. So kind of riding that little edge can make it so that maybe your audience isn't turning you up quite as much. Maybe they can leave their volume as they would for watching a YouTube video or listening to music. The release time, again, I usually leave this at stock. 60 milliseconds is perfectly fine for a limiter release. Now, where would you use a limiter if not on your voice? Well, they actually have a very good application with game volume. If you have a game that outputs its volume at a separate source, it's not coming through your PC audio, it's going straight into OBS, you can set a limiter on that channel so that if there are explosions or gunfire happening in your game, that they never overtake your microphone volume. There's nothing worse than going into a stream and you can never hear what the streamer's actually saying because their game is too loud. So take this knowledge with you of limiters and use them wherever you think it might overtake you volume-wise. All right, so that's compressors and limiters in a nutshell, a very rough nutshell. If you learned something, be sure to subscribe and leave me a like on this video, as it lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that you guys are learning something from this series. If you want to catch me live on Twitch and see all of these audio techniques in action, follow me over at twitch.tv/butlet. My name has changed. I luckily got the only butlet. So I stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also follow me over at Twitter for at itsbutlet, ITSBUTTLET. I post a lot of memes and stuff I think about throughout the day if you want to follow me there. If you want to catch up on the channel, outside of the channel itself, we have a Twitter as well, at audiolive_YT. Those both will be in the description as well as displayed somewhere on screen. What are you doing? Oh, Violet. You want to play? Do you want to play? Oh, no. That's why we use a limiter.